On the edge of a quiet street in northern England stood a house people stopped talking about years ago. Not because it was abandoned, not because it looked frightening, but because every person who lived there left before the seventh night. Some fled in silence. Some fled in silence. Some left behind their belongings. And one family reportedly disappeared without warning, leaving the front door wide open. At first glance, the house looked completely ordinary. A narrow brick home built sometime in the late 1800s. 2 floors, old windows, a small attic facing the street. Nothing about it suggested horror. But according to local rumors, something inside the house changed after midnight, and everyone who stayed there long enough experienced the same thing. The story first gained attention in the early 1990s, when a couple moved into the property after buying it at an unusually cheap price. Friends described them as practical people. Friends described them as practical people, not superstitious, not interested in paranormal stories. For the first few nights, nothing unusual happened. The house was quiet, too quiet. No traffic sounds at night, no neighbors outside. Even the usual creaking sounds older homes make seemed strangely absent. Then came the F, our third night. Our third night. The wife reportedly woke around 3:17 a.m. after hearing footsteps upstairs. At first, she assumed her husband was awake, but he was asleep beside her. The footsteps continued, slowly above them, back and forth, back and forth. There was only one problem. The attic door had been locked since they moved in. The husband eventually grabbed a flashlight and checked the second floor. Nothing. No signs of movement, no open windows, no animals. But when he returned downstairs, his wife noticed something strange. Dust covered the back of his sweater, as if someone had touched him with dirty hands. The couple tried to ignore it. People rationalize fear very quickly when they want to feel safe. Psychologists say the human brain constantly searches for logical explanations during stressful situations, especially inside unfamiliar environments. Old houses settle. Pipes make sounds. Sleep deprivation increases paranoia. But the house didn't stop. On the 5th night, both of them heard knocking from inside the walls. Not random tapping. 3 slow knocks, then silence, then 3 more. At exactly the same time, every night afterward. Eventually, the husband inspected the walls himself. Number, pipes, no loose wood. Nothing that explained the sound. Then came the 7th night. Then came the 7th night. The event neighbors still whisper about today. At around 2 a.m., several residents reported hearing screaming from inside the house. Not loud, distant, like someone trying not to be heard. Police arrived minutes later, after a nearby caller reported possible domestic violence. But when officers entered the property, the house was empty. The couple was gone. Their car remained outside. Their clothes were still in closets. Dinner plates sat untouched on the kitchen table. But there was one detail that deeply disturbed investigators. According to reports, every light inside the house had been turned on, including the attic. The same attic the couple claimed had remained locked. No official explanation was ever released, and within months, the property was sold again. The next tenant lasted 6 nights. Then another family moved in years later. 5 nights. Then another. 7. Always less than a week. But strangely, most former residents refused to explain why they left. Some became visibly uncomfortable whenever the address was mentioned. One man reportedly ended an interview the moment he was asked about the attic. And over time, locals began noticing a pattern. Almost everyone described the same feeling, the sense that something inside the house was quietly observing them, not attacking, watching. One former resident claimed she constantly heard movement in the hallway outside her bedroom after midnight. Soft footsteps, slow breathing, and once, the sound of somebody whispering her name. She blamed stress at first, until the 6th night. She woke suddenly around 3 a.m. and noticed her bedroom door was open. She clearly remembered locking it before sleeping. Then she saw something standing at the end of the hallway, not clearly, just a shape, tall, still, watching. She later described the figure as darker than the darkness around it. The next morning, she packed her belongings and left immediately. But perhaps the most disturbing account came from a university student who rented the house temporarily in 2008. Unlike previous residents, he openly mocked the rumors online. He posted videos exploring the attic, joked about ghosts, told viewers he planned to stay longer than anyone else. For the first few days, nothing happened. Then his uploads changed. In one video, viewers noticed strange sounds in the background, a faint, dragging noise upstairs. Comments flooded in asking if someone else was inside the house. The student laughed it off, but by day 5, his behavior became noticeably different. He looked exhausted, distracted. At one point during a live stream, he suddenly stopped speaking and stared toward the hallway for nearly 20 seconds. Then he quietly asked, "Did you hear that?" The live stream ended moments later. According to archived comments, viewers claimed they heard a voice whispering something indistinct through his microphone. The next day, he uploaded one final video. No intro, no music. Just shaky footage filmed inside the house around midnight. The camera moved slowly toward the attic staircase, and then the recording stopped abruptly. After that, his channel went inactive for almost a year. When he finally returned online, he refused to discuss the house again. He only posted one sentence: "Some places change you after dark." Now, there are rational explanations for experiences like these. Old environments affect the brain in strange ways. Low-frequency sound waves, known as infrasound, can trigger anxiety, paranoia, and hallucination. Like sensations in humans, certain molds found in older buildings have also been linked to disturbed sleep and vivid nightmares. Darkness itself alters perception. The human mind fills uncertainty with fear. But what frightened investigators wasn't just isolated experiences. It was the consistency. People from different backgrounds reported similar details. The footsteps, the attic, the feeling of being watched. And most disturbing of all, the 7th night. Several paranormal researchers later visited the property, hoping to document activity. Most found nothing, until one team reportedly stayed overnight in the attic. According to leaked audio recordings, investigators captured unexplained knocking sounds around 3:13 a.m. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 more. One researcher attempted to debunk the sounds by checking pipes and wooden beams. Then the audio captured something else. Footsteps moving directly above them. Impossible footsteps. Because above the attic, there was only the roof. Moments later, one investigator reportedly suffered what doctors later described as a severe panic attack. He became convinced someone was standing behind him, despite nobody appearing on camera. The team ended the investigation before sunrise, and years later, the house was quietly abandoned. Even today, urban explorers occasionally visit the property. Most leave quickly. Some claim electronic devices malfunction inside. Others report hearing movement upstairs, despite the building being empty. But one detail appears again and again in online stories. People who stay inside the house after midnight often feel an overwhelming urge to leave before dawn, as if their instincts are warning them about something they cannot fully understand. And maybe that's what makes stories like this so disturbing, not the idea of ghosts, not monsters, but the possibility that certain places affect the human mind in ways we still cannot explain. Places where fear feels physical. Places where fear feels physical. Where silence feels alive. Where your brain begins convincing you that something is standing just outside your vision. Waiting, watching, patient. Maybe the house is simply old. Maybe years of rumors created mass paranoia. Or maybe every person who entered that house encountered the same thing. Something hidden in the attic. Something that only appears after enough nights pass. Something that waits quietly until the 7th night. Until the 7th night. Great. So if you ever find yourself walking down an empty street late at night and you notice a lonely house with lights glowing behind dusty windows, be careful what curiosity pulls you toward, because some doors should never be opened and some houses do not want people staying for long.